like a miracle up here. I've talked the girls, our girls, Terry and I's girls, into singing with me. And I'm telling you. And believe me, it took some talking. But I heard this song and I said, I gotta do it. I can't seem to not space out the words, but that's because I have CRS. You guys know what that is, right? She says, what's that? It's a different generation.
You won't remember.
You ready? Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we've lost on the way. Drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know pain. I believe you'd live forever, everything would stay the same. Now my heart feels like December when somebody says your name. 'Cause I can't reach out to touch you, but I know I will one day. Oh, everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. Everything will be alright. Go raise a glass and say, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost. I felt all of the sadness was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feels like an ember and is lighting up the dark. I carry torches for you, and you know I'll never drop. No, no. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. Everything will be alright. Go raise a glass and say, here's to the ones that we've got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you to Mike Devlin.
And now you're going to get to see a video of the best musician in our family. So sit down, relax, enjoy Terry Lee Lick. There's a reason why he has that name.
Why is it so bright? Why do you leave lights off?
I started out way earlier when we didn't have the radio. The color when the road with empty house. And so I never heard how this was. I met a guy at my uncle's house playing guitar. And he was playing guitar. Everybody in the room was just mesmerized. And it was like unbelievable. I heard this guy, by playing his instrument, was like doing something special, a gift from God that everybody was going, this guy, and he was the most popular guy on the block. And come on over, Glenn and Brian, it was so cool. So as soon as I saw him, and I was really good, I knew I didn't want to be a cowboy or a fireman. I wanted to be a car keeper, just like this guy. And I didn't stop bothering my mother and father until I got a guitar. Then as I got guitars and learned to play them, I friends around what I did, so we could all dance before the Beatles. And then when the musicals came around, and that sort of thing, that was a great way to go from there for me. And since then, it's been, nothing's changed. Since the Beatles wrote this changed anything, the technology has changed, but the music hasn't changed for me.
You never do that.
I never took a lesson. Took a lot of lessons, never took a cake from me.
our hospital chaplain when Dad was on hospice, and he's been an amazing support to our family, and we're so blessed to have him. So, Chaplain Mike.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Brianna said, my name is Deacon Mike Bellender, and also hospice chaplain for Redlands Community Hospital. And I have come to the conclusion after being a hospice chaplain for 6 years that death is the last and most intimate experience that we all have to go through. And for families to allow me and my co-workers, the nurses, the social workers, into your family and into your homes, we take as a real privilege. And it was an extra special privilege coming to Terry Lick and Melody and Brianna and TJ, or Terry. The aura of love that I felt walking into that house was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Right? Amen? Amen. So as I look out, there's more people here than there is at my Sunday service. So I'm going to hold a celebration of life for Terry every Sunday. But you have to promise to come. Okay? There's two sides to this. Two sides to this. So as Brianna said, I'm also a Catholic deacon for the Diocese of San Bernardino and St. Joseph the Workers, where I preach on some of the weekends of the month. And once again, it's such an honor and privilege for me to be here. You know, as you go through life, as you go through doing the kind of work that I do, you end up, you're not supposed to, but you end up having favorites. And this family is at the top of the list as one of my favorite families that I've ever dealt with. So God bless you. You're going to make me cry. So I'm going to start with the gospel. It's John chapter 6, verses 1, or 14, verses 1 to 6. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. Where I am going, you know the way." And Thomas said to him, "Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" And Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." And that's our gospel for today. I had such a beautiful time talking to Brianna. She painted a picture of who her father is. He and Melody were together for 52 years. My wife and I just celebrated 51 in January, and when we celebrated our 50th, I Googled how many marriages make it 50 years. And if anybody knows the answer, I've got $20. Time is up, go. 5% of marriages make it 50 years.
Wow.
So that's an accomplishment, Melody. That really, truly is an accomplishment. He was born in Wyoming and raised in Colorado. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, they gave me, was it 3-hour limitation on my Hamlet? I just want to see if you're paying. Just under 3 hours. Just under 3 hours. Good, good. So, born in Wyoming, raised in Colorado. As a career, he formed a band with his brother in junior high school. And you know, it's funny, as a deacon and as a chaplain, I love music. But my kids wouldn't even let me sing in the shower. I sing so poorly. And so I'm not scandalizing anybody. Deacons in the Catholic Church are allowed to be married. We're allowed to have a wife. Just one, though. Just one. And as many kids and grandkids as we can possibly have. So anybody that has that gift, and I understand that Terry's gift was almost like a savant. He picked up that guitar, and from day one, he was able to play it. The other thing that I'm really jealous about Terry with is that he became a natural golfer. He would be playing skims games at Redlands Country Club, and now I used to golf. I don't golf so much anymore, but I'm jealous. That's a sin. So, but you know, certain people, everybody has gifts, and mine is to turn on the radio when it comes to music. So he met Melody at remember she was the drummer, right? You were the drummer? Oh, the singer.
Her boyfriend was the drummer.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember the story fully now. Yeah. Ooh, uh-oh. It's out. Is the boyfriend here?
No.
No. Okay, good. And hobbies, of course, include music and golfing, skins games, like I said, watching westerns on TV like Gunsmoke. And whenever I hear this is a hobby, it melts my heart. His family was his hobby. I think that's cool. When somebody, a man especially, has his family as his hobby, I respect Terry so much for that being one of his hobbies. Faith life, he had several Bibles as a child. He was a believer and is a believer in Jesus. Believed that he received his gifts from his faith. Would often say, I love Jesus. He has a personal relationship with Jesus as well. I asked for 5 adjectives that would describe who Terry is, but I got 25 because you cannot contain Terry in just 5 adjectives. Now, I'm going to mention these 5 adjectives, and if Brianna and I left out any, you're free after I get done with my 25 to shout them out so we finish the picture. Now, I always say about the deceit, not Terry was, but Terry still is Terry, right? The only difference is today he's living in the Spirit, which is where we were intended to live if sin had never entered into the world. In other words, if Adam and Eve had obeyed God, we'd all be in heaven right now. Doesn't Adam and Eve really tick you off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go with the adjectives. He is talented, he is intelligent and witty, eccentric, hilarious, a joker, funny and loving, unconditional love, a pure heart, romantic. He used to hit high love notes for melody throughout the house. How many times did you find them?
I just found about 50 of them.
50 of them recently?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Don't tell my wife because she's going to start expecting me to do the same thing. So, kind-hearted, very sensitive, encouraging and supportive, a generous heart with his family, admired and admirable, a skillful artist, a savant guitarist, self-taught, and savant golfer too. He just picked these skills up like they were nothing. Self-taught, he is admired and admirable. He's a spoiler at Christmas time because everybody know what a Christmas spoiler is? It's not the Grinch. It's quite the opposite of the Grinch. A spoiler at Christmas is someone that overloads the family with gifts because he loves to give. Loves and is a very giving person. Any other adjectives that we missed? Going once, going twice. Brilliant! Brilliant! I like it. All right, going for 27. $5 for the 27th adjective. Time is up. Time's up.
Romantic.
Oh no, we have that in here. We have that one in here, so you can't use that one twice. So, I always like to refer to a movie or a book that was made into a movie called Heaven is for Real. Has anybody read the book or seen the movie? A lot of you. For those of you that haven't, it's the story of a 4-year-old boy who's on the operating table, and for about 3 or 4 minutes he dies and goes to heaven. He doesn't tell about his experience. Doctors bring him back to life. And he doesn't tell anybody about his experience for a couple of months until he's out playing with his dad. And he says, Dad, by the way, I saw Grandpa in heaven. What do you mean you saw Grandpa in heaven? Dad, I saw Grandpa in heaven, and guess what, Dad? He was only 30 years of age. In fact, Dad, nobody in heaven is over 30. When I heard that, I thought, yippee! I want to be 30 again. How many want to be 30 again? How many are not 30 years old again? Don't lie, you're in front of a chaplain. Can you imagine Terry being 30 years old again? That's heaven. And having that energy, that liveliness, that spunk of a 30-year-old, that's what Terry gets to experience now. Today, Terry knows that heaven is for real. He knows heaven is for real. You and I sometimes may have our doubts, like, where was God during 9/11? Where was God during the Uvalde mass shootings? And when I hear that, my answer is always the same. Jesus was there, wrapping his arms around those victims and around the survivors, bringing them comfort and consolation. We have a God who loves us so intimately and so profoundly. Today, Terry is more alive than all of us put together. More alive. In fact, do you remember that show, Dancing with the Stars, on ABC? Well, that's piddly stuff compared to Dancing with the Angels. I imagine Terry, being the kind of singer that he is, has probably got those angels dancing up a storm. Dancing up a storm. So, at this point, I wish I had a magic wand that I could just wave over all of you and have your sadness and your sorrow be gone. Unfortunately, I don't have a magical wand. I do have a mystical wand. That mystical wand is called faith. Faith in God to do what he says he will do. How many believe that God can do everything? Will you raise your hands? I'm sorry to tell you, but you're all wrong. There's two things he cannot do. Number one, it's impossible for God to tell a lie. And number two, it's impossible for God to love us any more than he loves us now. God is God. And those are two things he cannot do. Now, how many of you remember the movie Shawshank Redemption? Raise your hands. You're going to think all I do is watch movies. But there's a line in the movie that I love. And in a letter to Red from Andy Dufresne says, "Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." End of quote. And no good, God-fearing, God-loving person ever dies either. You know why? You're supposed to say why at this point.
Why?
You guys are the best audience I've ever had. I am bringing you to church every Sunday, or Terry's bringing you there. Because Jesus beat the hell out of death. Literally and figuratively, he beat the hell out of death for you, for me, for Terry. Because, my friends, that is the kind of God that we have, that loves Terry so much, that loves us so much. One day we will, as believers, be reunited again. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, that 4-hour homily was only it seemed like it was only like 30 minutes, right? So at this time, I'd like to bring Brianna forward as she relates her memories of her beloved father.
For those of you who may not have seen me in 40 years plus, I'm Brianna, Terry's oldest daughter. I was born from an unbreakable love between my mom and dad, and I still feel that love every day of my life. From the beginning, my dad and I had a special bond. Born prematurely, I needed special care, and I still do according to my husband. And he nurtured me with such tenderness, feeding me with an eyedropper to ensure that I would thrive. In my teens, he would leave a daily heartfelt or funny note in my bedroom for me, along with a cup of hot tea before school. His heart overflowed with unconditional love, and it hurt him to discipline us. He was the most sensitive and loving person I've ever known. My dad was incredibly silly and eccentric in all the best ways. We'd do a fun knock on the walls between rooms as I got ready for school, shaving a haircut 2 bits. And every school drop-off ended with his reminder, "See you at tooth hurty, time to go to the dentist." One thing he always shouted to me as I ran out the door that has stayed with me forever is, "Go out there and act like you're somebody." It has been my constant encouragement to strive for the best in everything that I do in life. My dad was not only my hero, but a musical prodigy and a rock god in my eyes and in the eyes of many others. He was someone worth admiring. His faith was another cornerstone of his life. He often attributed his talents to divine inspiration, telling me that they came from up and to the left, meaning from God. Our shared faith gave us solace during life's most challenging moments and strengthened our bond. I was incredibly blessed to have him as a father and will carry on his humor and unconditional love in my own family. I promise to take care of the love of his life, my mom, and to continue cherishing the enduring love that we all share. Thank you.
Well, that's not fair. Now you made me cry. I was crazy about that Terry Lee Lick guy. First as a friend, we met in Boulder, Colorado. I was going to the Colorado University and got involved in a band. It was a show band called The Tonight Show. And I got together with the drummer, as you've heard before. And Terry and Jimmy, the drummer, were best friends. So I was best friends with Terry for several years before we ended up falling in love. And we had hired him into the band, and it wasn't long before he got a song to sing, and he sang that song, Vehicle. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. And anyway, I fell in love with his playing and his singing. And the night that we kind of both agreed we'd fallen in love, we were supposed to leave the next day for New Orleans. Needless to say, we went to New Orleans without a drummer. I was actually blown away by the fact that he called his mother after we admitted we loved each other. And he said, "Mom, guess what? I fell in love." I'm like, who does that? Right? Nobody does that. And I was his third girlfriend. Wow, that's pretty cool. We never got married. He did ask me, and I just kind of giggled. I'm like, it doesn't mean anything to me. I was never one of those girls that wanted the white dress and that old rigmarole. We played a lot of weddings, and most of them ended up in divorce. And we saw the stress behind the wedding, you know, getting ready and everything. So anyway, but I figure with a name like Melody Jean Horney and Terry Lee Lick, living on Chestnut Avenue and going to the Beaver Clinic, it was meant to be, man. He was a genius. He had genius IQ. He could do anything. And we discussed him becoming a pro golfer. That's how good he was. We had so many trophies that made the living room look just ugly. You know, we had to put them away in a box. It was like overwhelming. But we realized with golf, since I can't golf with a damn, that that wasn't probably the best choice because we could do music together. And we were so blessed to be able to do that. Let's see. Oh, I know. When I got pregnant with Brianna, I was so scared to tell him I was pregnant because it was I thought it might mean the band had to stop, right? What do you do with a kid on the road and all that, you know? And he was so excited. He was just jumping off the, you know, it was incredible. And he just adored his girls. When our middle child, Leah, died, it had just about killed him. He went to the ER the very next morning, and he was there for, 3 months? It went downhill from there. And he was just such a sensitive guy. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved him so much, but also one of the reasons why he was such an incredible guitar player, because he played with such emotion, you know. And we spent a lot of time over the last 4 years in hospitals entertaining nurses and doctors. We just can't help it. That's what we do. And he was joking to the very end. I mean, Kendall, our granddaughter, came over to see him when he was in his hospital bed on hospice. And he said to her, "Hey, I hear you've been getting A++s." And she said, "Yeah." And he said, I used to get A++s too, but I didn't have to bribe the teacher." And Kendall said, "Are you roasting me?" So it was a cool last visit with Papa. That's what the grandkids called me, Papa. And in the end, and Terry and I talked about what a beautiful life we'd had together, doing exactly what we love to do, making people laugh and sing and dance and forget their troubles. Chaplain Mike said that it was like we had our own ministry, traveling around the world. We loved doing it so much we would have done it for free. Don't tell Latito this. I can take losing my soulmate, as I was so blessed to have had the love of a lifetime for 52 years, while some never do. And if there's a rock and roll heaven, you know he's in a hell of a band.
Let's speak, all right.
I volunteer back here. I love this guy. That's our whole meeting. He's awesome. John Cliff.
Journey back to the hip swiveling, gum popping, grease down 50s, and faster you say, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Trip into the psychedelic, flower-powered 60s on a magic carpet ride. With Cricket, the house band of Brewster's Bar and Grill in Redlands. Ow! These aren't some mechanical Elvis impersonators who have the look and sound down, but wouldn't know an emotional fervor if it shook its hips in its face. This is a veteran rock and roll act that opened for Hendrix, traded guitars with Mitch Ryder, and boogied with Joe Cocker. They started the original 50s revival movement with Flash Cadillac before Sean Anak reached down the television set. They were part of the generation that thought all you need is love. They experienced the promise of Woodstock and the horrors of Altamont when it became painfully obvious that music wouldn't set you free. But they survived and learned while many of their rock and roll comrades fell by the wayside, cannon fodder for rock and roll Babylon. Witness keyboardist, vocalist Jeannie Horney's rendition of the Great White Blues Mama, Janis Joplin, as she strips her soul bare with her telling of her and Bobby. Or check out her husband, or not husband, just caught that one, but husband of love. And Terry Lick's portrayal of the bubbling innocence of the bespectacled late Buddy Holly. The lead guitar player also pays homage to Jimmy as he masters the guitar as if it was an extension of himself. For some comic relief, Cricket interjects comedic interplay that rivals that of Saturday Night Live in its prime. There is the constant muggings and verbal barbs of drummer Jim Lindsay. Who also does a Mick Jagger strut that would make Keith Richards take a healthy belt and rebel yell. These aren't your I sold my soul for rock and roll musicians. They possess the values of Ward Cleaver, Beaver's dad, and they enjoy reciting on Maple Street. Thank you. And as Terry says, playing music is maybe a better father, neighbor, and American. Even Jim has marriage plans as he has caught a case of blonditis with his landing of the stunning Paula husband. Cricket opens up its set, transposed into 50s characters Buzzy, Rocket, and Betty Lou. Attired in resplendent 50s wear, save for Buzzy, Jim, who is adorned in a mismatch of checks and stripes that would make Pee Wee Herman wince. The band launches into Rock Around the Clock, and the dinner crowd is commuted into a sock hop atmosphere that transcends nostalgia. Jeannie plays a resplendent 50s airhead, Betty Lou.
Are you calling me an airhead?
Back then you were an airhead.
That was acting.
That was an act, that's what it's trying to do. She aced her driver's test. She got 18 out of 20,
Yeah.
but she missed 2 of them. 2 guys jumped out of the way. That was her joke.
That's a good one.
She also can shake a mean hula hoop, do the mashed potato, twist, the pony, the swim, the jerk and alligator, as well as any regular on American Bandstand. Motoring through Wake Up Little Susie and Rockin' Robin, it's crystal clear that this band has paid its dues by its constant 7 nights on the road, bringing its act into a well-tuned machine. As you grow as musicians and as a family, it comes in plateaus, commented Lick, referring to the musical cohesiveness of the band. We just hopped one about 6 weeks ago. We looked at each other while on stage, and it's a communication that exceeds enunciation. Jeannie adds, it was like, wow, did you feel that? We just hit another level. The momentum continues. It builds like a tidal wave as Betty Lou belts out Leslie Gore's It's My Party. And Jim shows he's not just another buzzhead as he displays a beautiful falsetto voice on his cover of the Platters' Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Terry riffs through a surf set that would do Dick Dale proud and sends the audience to beach blanket bingo with songs of the Safaris and the Ventures. One of the highlights of the opening set is Lick's portrayal of the late great Buddy Holly. As he launches into Peggy Sue, it is evident that there is a great respect for the artist. No somersaults or theatrics, just Holly at his innocuous best. After a joyous, rousing rendition of Barbara Ann and a down-on-the-corner enactment of Why Do Fools Fall in Love, Cricket has got the audience hook, line, and sinker, but the best is yet to come. After a short intermission, they appear as the aroma of incense fills the air. Lick is SS stillborn. Long hairs and shoulder-length braid, jeans splattered with peace signs and assorted patches, knee-length moccasins propel his unsteady ascent to the stage. Jeannie is penicillin. She follows looking as Joplin-esque as can be. She's outfitted in a crocheted mini dress with fringe, feather boas adorning her suede boots. Then comes Roach, Lindsay, who needs a map to find the drum set. A poncho is pulled over his head. Huaraches and jeans complement the wearer, topped off by a look of utter confusion plastered on his face. The 60s are back. And it looks as if these characters have never left, trapped in a time warp of the summer of love. The band launches into a stomping rendition of Magic Carpet Ride. Yeah. As Lick shows how all those nights playing for spaghetti dinners in Boulder paid off. Horny dominates the keyboards, and Lindsay plays the skins with Keith Moon-like intensity. Next, with the appreciative audience encapsulated in a buzzsaw of full amps, the opening mind-expanding strums of Somebody to Love transforms Jeannie into Grace Slick as she strolls into the audience, bringing them back to Haight-Ashbury and the San Francisco scene when the Jefferson airplane was flying high. Flying high.
Yeah, literally.
Ladies and gentlemen, a special guest appearing for our legend show, Mr. Joe Cocker. Terry Lick warms up the audience with a true story of when he and Alvin Lee, 10 years after, were searching for Cocker, Joe Cocker, before Joe set, and he was nowhere to be found. with but 5 minutes remaining before he was to take the stage. They finally discovered him outside the arena, 200 deep in line behind concert doors, waiting to purchase a ticket to his own show. Joe with a bottle of Ripple in his hand. Lick then twitches into Cockers with a little help from my friends from the Mad Dogs and Englishman tour. Backed by Jeannie and Jim's soulful harmony, Terry's riveting intensity portrays Cocker at his best, sweat pouring down his body, ravaged vocal cords stretching as tight as Lick's guitar strings. Mick Jagger is backstage with his lips in curlers. Roach goes to fetch him, and out comes the Mick, bottom swinging, lips pursed, arms swag as if he was strolling down Hollywood Boulevard singing the teenage frustration anthem of the 1960s, Satisfaction. Then it's Jeannie's show. Skipping her heart-stopping rendition of Janis Joplin and the Big Brother and the Holding Company's Piece of My Heart. Janis's Bobby McGee is next, an interpretation that brought 3 standing ovations at the Bob Hope Cultural Center's McCollum Theater in the Rock and Roll Theater, Rock and Roll Heaven concert last March. You could see it in their eyes, reminisced Lick. Speaking of the audience, they went back. The dance floor continues to jump as heel kickers and boot stompers of all ages interpret the band's licks as they kick into Moni Moni, Manford Man's Doo-Wah Diddy, and the Kinks' You Really Got Me. Covers of Mitch Ryder's Jenny Jenny and Devil with a Blue Dress On spin as well as the Detroit Wheels ever did. Another highlight is Terry's 6-gun salute to Hendrix as he plays the instrument with TNT feedback. He's one of the best I've ever seen or heard, commented Tony McChene, talking in the set. McChene is a respected engineer, musician, and songwriter for such artists as Phil Collins, who originally was a member of the band some 14 years ago. The show is over, but the crowd won't leave without an encore. Cricket's accelerated presentation of the Beatles' Slow Down brings the house and the curtain down. Don't forget to mention Jim, said Terry, referring to Diamond Jim Latito and his wife, Mary Beth.
Yeah.
They are the owners of Brewster's at 1449 West Redlands Boulevard, and are assisted by their daughters. He's a great man and humanitarian. There's a love in this place, and there's love in right here now, all these years. There is a love in this place that involves everyone that works here. That's rare, man. Plus the food's great. You tried the garlic bread? Inquires Terry. Jim adds, Jim Lindsay, sure, we could play somewhere else for a lot more money, but the love and camaraderie here can't be found anywhere. Believe me, we've played our share of gigs. Hail, hail, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, Jim. I got one little story. Man. I wanted to just...
Get all that wet.
I just wanted to say, if I could, I hope I'm not boring you. When I first met Jim, he opened a bottle of firewater, pointed the stage, gave me a loincloth and a headdress, and called me chief and said, go out there and be Mr. Chili Pepper, somewhere high in the desert at a chili fest. I don't know where it was in the desert because by the time I got done dancing like a wild Indian, I climbed under the stagecoach and passed out in the dust. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I bring that up, not about me, but we won the best show, and it was because of cricket. But it was also the camaraderie as soon as cricket would play their last set at Brewster's, everybody would, friends and family would meet in the kitchen, and we'd pack the stagecoach, we'd pack the trucks, and we'd do this big caravan up through Cajones Pass and get to the desert, and cricket would rock, and then we'd dance cowboys and Indians, a Wild West show in front of the band, and pull passerbys in. And I'll tell you, even to this day, I love you, Jeannie. I love Terry. We spent a lot of time. You played at my friggin' reception at my wedding in Laughlin.
Yeah, right.
And you rocked the house, as usual. But I wanted to say, too, after all these years moving back, that one of the highlights of my life is still coming here and sitting at the end of the bar and having a shot of Jose with Diamond Jim.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been a long haul. And it's hard to say goodbye, right? It's hard to say goodbye. When I saw Terry up there, I almost cried. I did cry. Going back to how we met. How did we meet? Back in the 80s. I didn't even know you guys. I was doing an 80s party because we had a little catering company. And I called my uncle, which was running a restaurant. I says, I need an 80s band. That's Hungry Tiger, was it?
Wasn't it 50s? No?
I don't know, 50s, you're right. See, I'm ahead of myself already, getting too old now. So he gave me this number, and I think it called your agent. I can't remember that far back, because, you know, we were kind of crazy too. I was one of your fans.
Who, you? Crazy?
Yeah. So they drove up, and we had this place all set up for a 50s party. 50s, right? Okay. I'm here with my outfit on, cooking and all this stuff. They come in the back room where the cooks are cooking, and I'm cooking. And I said, you guys hungry? Did I say that?
Yes.
Are you sure?
You always say that.
Okay. So we sat down and had a little party, and then they went out and performed. And I said, holy cow. I meant to say something else, but holy cow. This is the guys I love. Music is music, but their music was fantastic. That was in the 80s. Then as time went by, when I moved on to another place, which was Brewster's, I says, I need a house band. I don't like any of these bands going in one day and out the next. And I called you guys, and you came out. And when you performed, you were perfect. You guys were the best I've ever heard in my life. Really, I'm serious. Yeah. We spent many nights after they got off just staying till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And went over to your house. Well, I don't know where you lived then, but you had a garage, and I remember him mixing music. He said, what are you guys doing? And you were just making so much music in that 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I could never go home. I think I got chewed out by my wife. I'm not going to say anymore. But you guys were the best of the best. And I really mean that from deep my heart. And I really missed you. And I still have your light up there. This room was a cricket room. Things went haywire down the line. We had little problems with people passing on, you know, and it was a situation where it was unfortunate because I loved you guys. So God bless you and God bless Terry. I'll miss him. Thank you.
I just had to say one thing. I'm Shelley Scott. I was one of the drummers for cricket. I had to tell, it was Terry, when I knew about Terry before I even met him. He played for Andrew Gold, remember? He actually played for Andrew Gold at one time. I knew those guys. I knew Linda Runstead and all those guys. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is when I first got a call from Jeannie, I just got off the road from Texas, and at that time, I already played with so many famous people that they were imitating. And what happened was that she called me, I was in the studio. I don't know how she found me, or it was a contact service or something. And I went to the airport where they live next to the airport the next morning. And right away, I felt the vibe. The vibe was so strong. And I walked in there, and Terry and Danny, they set up your drums. So I go to set up, and I go, wait a minute. I'm going to try to pull some real. These guys think they're funny. I'm a left-handed drummer, so what I did is I set up all my drums right-handed. And then Jeannie was in the kitchen or something. Terry and Danny, the bass player, come walking in, and they're looking at me, and nice set. And I go, yeah. And I go, hey, let's try something different. And they look at each other like, what's this guy, crazy? And then they look at me and say, we tried out 78 drummers. You're 78 now. We can't find the guy we want. And I went, oh yeah, watch this. And I turned the drums around left-handed. And I start playing left-handed. They're looking at me going, wow! And I was a left-handed drummer. I was already playing it. So what happened after that was real crazy. I did like one song with them, or 2 songs off the album. And they said, hey, can you sing? And I went, yeah, I do high harmony pretty good. So we sung a Beatles song, and they looked at each other like, quick. And wait a minute. And they walked in the kitchen, and Jeannie comes out. And she goes, you got the job. And I went, job? Who are you guys? What is this thing? I just came for the fun. You know, what is this? Next thing I know, they have me for the whole month of August learning about 70 different routines. These guys didn't just play a song. No. They would get to the middle of the song and segue into something else like a comedy routine, a comedy thing, or some other song, or they'd be all, it was like Spike Jones. I mean, I was freaked out. I never played in a band like that. I never had to remember all that stuff like that. It was like a real challenge. And I said, well, I could read the chart, but this is crazy. So we go out. You got to know this. This is real crazy because it's about Terry. We get in our first tour. And I didn't know really who these guys were, how famous they were, what. So it was Wayne State, I think, was our first gig. And I took my girlfriend on the road with me. We show up for sound check at this huge place. I mean, this place was like 10, 20,000 people would hold. I walked in through the front door all the way to the stage, and I'm looking around going, I wonder who else was playing here. You know, like, I had no idea. And so that night, when we played, the place is packed. And I'm looking at the tickets, and the only person on the ticket says cricket. And I'm going, wait a minute. We're backstage, right? I'm going, there's like 10,000 people out there. Who the hell are you guys? We're in Lincoln, Nebraska. No, we're in Wayne State up there just coming in. So anyway, my point was, Terry, I went on tour with these guys. It was the most, I played with a lot of famous people, and this band was the best out of all of them. And I mean, I jammed with Eric Clapton. I have played with the heaviest guys you've ever heard. These guys, Terry Lick, holy smoke. When I got off stage the first time, I was just shocked. I was in shock. And after that first tour, Terry not only did all that stuff, I mean, they moved. When these guys were on the road out there in the Midwest, they moved like a traveling circus. Trucks, giant PAs, 4 roadies, this and that. I mean, these guys it was massive. They really had a massive operation. I remember the Beach Boys were on the road at the same time. I think we were just ahead of REO Speedwagon everywhere we went, right? And so what happened really was we finished the tour. Not only is Terry doing all this stuff for the band, he's helping the roadies pack up the PA. He's out there after we did all those shows. I could barely walk. This guy is out there, come on, let's get this stuff in the truck, come on. I'm going, holy smoke, man, who the hell is this guy? Who the hell is this guy? And I mean it, Terry Lick was one of a kind. One of a kind. respected him, never stopped telling other musicians about him, and I'm going to miss him. I loved him.
All kinds of instruments.
Several weeks ago, Jeannie was telling me they were going to plan a celebration of life for Terry. And she said, Con, I really don't know what to do. We have so many friends. We can't find a venue big enough to invite all of the friends that we want to have here. So she made a brilliant decision. She said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to invite only the best looking people of all of my friends.
Good one, Don.
Unfortunately, none of them could make it tonight. They couldn't make it. But I'm Colin Keith. My wife Deb's over there. We're from Nebraska. We got Doug Fenn from Nebraska, Fred Betke originally from Nebraska. So we have a few Nebraska people here. When you folks in Californians think about Nebraska, you probably think, well, the biggest cash crop or cash cow in Nebraska's got to be corn or it's got to be beef. But that's not true. The biggest cash crop in Nebraska was any nightclub that had cricket play when they came to town. They would barnstorm, they would barnstorm Nebraska and just wipe everybody out of all their money. I mean, it was just a blast. And they played Lincoln, of course, at Little Bows. They like Wayne State. They played all these places, Falls City, Rulo. Wherever they played, it was always packed. And the thing is, too, they play Little Bows maybe 4 or 5 nights in a row. And it was always standing room only. But it was the same people. They weren't satisfied with just one night. They came to see the show a second night, a third night, a fourth night. Standing room only, 2 or 3 encores. It was amazing. For those of you who were there and saw it, you know what I'm talking about. I feel sorry for the people that never got to see them in their prime, which lasted a long, long time. Of course, they were fantastic. But we got to know, my wife and I got to know Terry and Jeannie just by hanging out and talking to them. They found out that I was a singer and a player or whatever, so we had something to bond with. And they ended up, Terry and Jeannie, staying at our house whenever they would come through Nebraska for a few weeks at a time, maybe a month and a half or whatever. At first they'd come out, I had 1 daughter. And then they'd come out, I got 2 daughters. So I said, Deb, we're going to need a bigger house. So we got a bigger house. Next time they come out, they got 3 daughters. I said, you guys have any dogs too? Come on, let's stop right there. But they kept wanting to do something to repay us, for staying there. We said, no, we'd love to have you here. He said, no, we got to do something for you. We wouldn't let them do anything. And one day I come home, and in the driveway of my car, the hood's up in this old Chevy Nova that we had. The hood's up. What's that? And behind the hood is Terry. I said, Terry, what are you doing? He said, well, you were telling me this car was running kind of rough. So I thought I'd fix the carburetor for you. And he did. He just on his own went out and fixed my car. And of course, we didn't want him to do anything, but he was that kind of a guy. He wanted to do something for us. And then in the second house we were in, the bigger house, my wife says, we got to paint the living room. You know how women are with colors and stuff. You always got to change. And so we decided we'd paint the living room. I think we went and got some paint. We come home one day, and here's Terry and Jeannie painting our living room. Here they are planned to standing room only crowds every night. In the afternoon, what are they doing? They're painting our living room. So it's so nice of you guys to do what you did. You certainly didn't have to. But one of the things I'd like to do at this point, a couple nights ago, we were over at Jeannie's house, and we were having some fun till the wee hours. And before I left, she and I sang this song together. And I'd like to know if there's anybody out there who would like to hear Jeannie as Janice on what is song. And this, I want to do this on stage because I get a chance to play with you on stage. This is amazing.
Okay.
Should we do that?
Well,
We have to do the microphone.
I wouldn't have had that last drink if I knew we were going to do this. Do I have it?
Do we have another mic?
Oh yeah, we need a second mic.
Check. One. One, two.
You'll just do it. If it doesn't work out, they won't. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Actually, I got to tell you, Colin performed this at where?
The Apollo Theater in New
The
York.
Apollo Theater.
This is, nobody else would sing this song at the Apollo, I'm telling you that.
We tried to do this
Around with
night before last. We'd had way too much to drink and I couldn't remember the words.
Well, we'll see what
So
happens.
we'll see what happens.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?
My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends.
I worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz?
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a color TV?
Dialing $4 is trying to find me.
Well, I wait for delivery each day until 3.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a color TV?
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a night on the town?
I'm counting on you, Lord. Please don't let me down.
Well, prove that you love me and buy the next round.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a night on the town?
Keep
Everybody,
Oh Lord, won't you
Won't you
buy me a Mercedes-Benz?
my friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. I worked hard all my lifetime. A lot of help from my friends. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes? Wait a minute. What the hell do I need with a Mercedes Benz? Cause I got a whole lot of friends.
You believe it?
Didn't forget the words.
Hallelujah.
Oh, keep forgetting to give him the mic. Anybody else want to say anything?
I just wanted to real quick say something. When I'm a KJ and DJ, and I've been doing it for maybe 25 years or so. And every time cricket would come to town, all of a sudden my shows got thin. I mean, and I had successful shows, but I always knew that cricket was in town because my shows were thin. I do appreciate you asking me to do this for you, and it was my pleasure, and it was definitely an honor. And I need you guys to finish the sentence, all right? What is it going to be? Come here. Come here. You got to say it.
I think I know what it's going to be.
There's a bathroom on the right. Okay, well, interestingly enough, I found something that Terry wrote. He wrote a resume. He wanted to work at Riverside Community College with our friend Fred. And he wrote this, and at the very end of it, he had this personal note that I just was blown away when I found it. And I wanted to tell you guys, this was in Terry's writing. He said, somewhere in here, with all the experience he mentioned to get the job, we raised 3 wonderful little girls and had a lifetime of experience and fun. We worked with some of the most talented people I've even run across in my life. We made lifelong relationships with most. I love to play and sing and record. All this experience, I feel, has made me one of the few, and I feel very lucky and thankful. Now you all just kind of enjoy yourselves for a little while, and then we're going to go outside and let some helium balloons go and send love up to Terry.